The Gravity Group is a roller coaster design, engineering, and manufacturing firm based in Cincinnati, Ohio. They were founded in 2002 by some of the team members that came over from the now defunct Custom Coasters International. They had years of experience working with that company, and after they shut things down, they didn't want to stop making roller coasters, so they founded the Gravity Group, and as of 2024 have designed 29 different roller coasters around the world. Now, I have not had the opportunity to experience all of them. They have 12 roller coasters over in China, 7 of which are called Jungle Trailblazer, so hopefully one day I'm able to experience a bunch of those and we can revisit this list. But until then, this is how I order my top 10 favorite Gravity Group coasters. And I want to kick things off with Green Bay, Wisconsin's Zippin' Pippen. Now, before we continue any further, this ride was designed by the Gravity Group. However, it was manufactured by Martin & Vlemix. Martin & Vlemix, or MVR, is a Canadian company that is known for their installation of roller coasters. They have partnered with the Gravity Group to do their design and engineering when it comes to their wooden coasters. So, in the case of Zippin' Pippen, this is technically an MVR ride because MVR is the one that worked with Bay Beach, signed the contract, and then MVR worked with the Gravity Group to do the design, and then MVR manufactured it and put it together. And I bring that up because we're going to run into a couple rides on this list that have that exact same setup. But I would say most of the roller coasters we're going to talk about are Gravity Group through and through, designed, engineered, manufactured, installed. But in 2011, they worked with MVR to bring back Elvis's favorite roller coaster and reconstruct it at Bay Beach. The origin of this is that there used to be a ride called Zippin' Pippen that operated at Liberty Land in Memphis, Tennessee. It closed down in 2005, and they wanted to bring back the attraction, so they built what is essentially the same layout, but with some just slight adjustments. One of those includes a particularly extreme airtime moment at the end of the ride. It's been nicknamed the Ejector Death Hill, which is a pretty accurate representation of just how sharply you're shot up out of your seat. It comes out of nowhere. There's a lot of airtime on these rides that we're going to talk about, but this is definitely one of the most extreme. The only reason why it's not higher is because I felt like the rest of the layout left a lot to be desired. At the number 9 spot, we have our first Gravity Group family wooden coaster, Kentucky Flyer at Kentucky Kingdom. This ride opened in 2019 and features an out-and-back layout with several small airtime hills. The ride's only 47 feet tall, but these things pack a punch. I know several people who would say that the family wooden coasters that the Gravity Group produces is their best product. And I can absolutely see that. They've really nailed this idea. It truly is fun for the whole family. Every single one of those hills sends you up out of your seat. It's awesome. At the number 8 spot, we have another ride that is just in a bit of an interesting situation. It's Mindblower at Fun Spot Kissimmee. I think I talked about this in the top 10 GCI video I did, but the inherent problem of doing a wooden roller coaster ranking is that rides are constantly being retracked and redone. It's going to feel different depending on what year you rode it. Mindblower has changed quite a bit since it first opened. It always started off rough, but it had a really good layout. But over time, it just progressively got worse and worse, and just within the past year, RMC has come in and put in their 208 track. So now, part of the ride is steel. It smoothed out the valleys, which those were definitely the roughest parts, but it now creates a weird sensation where you're going from wood to steel, and then back to wood, back to steel. It's pretty bizarre. I definitely wish that FunSpot had worked with Gravity Group to put in their pre-cut track, which is supposed to provide a much smoother experience than traditional wood track, like what the ride currently has. And I feel like that would have been a better solution, but it seems like FunSpot wanted something that was steel so that it had less maintenance. Only time will tell if they end up doing the whole thing, but this is technically still a Gravity Group layout. It has the Timberliner trains, really awesome pacing, but I just can't put it higher because of how odd of a situation it's in, and how even with the RMC track, this ride is still rough. At the number 7 spot, we have another Gravity Group family wooden coaster, this time over in southern France. It's Timber at Walby-Rhône-Alpes. And spoiler alert, this is my favorite family wooden coaster by the Gravity Group. Every single one of those hills shoots you up out of your seat. The pacing is incredible. Again, it's not very tall. We're looking at 56 feet in the air, but what they're able to pack in is just wild. It also got me excited for Bobcat, which is the new Gravity Group family coaster they'll be debuting at Great Escape, which features a very similar layout to this one, except that one is going to have pre-cut track, so it's going to be extremely smooth. I think Bobcat is going to be even better than Timber. And at number 6, we have the world's only wooden shuttle coaster. It's Switchback at ZDT's. This small family entertainment center is located outside of San Antonio. They just have the one roller coaster, but it's a good one. This one's a little bit bigger than the other family woodies, 64 feet tall, but it's got a fundamentally different ride experience, with the peak being an almost vertical spike that the train isn't able to make it through, and then it traverses the whole course backwards. It's an extremely creative ride shoved into a really tight space, brilliant design. I haven't ridden it in several years, but last time I did it, it was still running pretty well. So we've made it into our top 5. Let's head to Erie, Pennsylvania for Ravine Flyer 2. The ride starts off with an out and back layout, passing over a road through several airtime hills, and after returning to the other side, you're passing through tunnels, twisting from side to side in the spaghetti bowl section. It is so relentless. This is an incredible wooden roller coaster. Definitely one of those rides that does not quite get talked about enough, but every time I've ridden, I have just been so impressed with the ride experience. And at number 4, we have a ride that is pretty divisive. It's Hades 360 at Mount Olympus in Wisconsin. Remember how I was talking about depending on when you rode a certain ride, the experience will be different? Well, Hades 360 is an attraction that is in dire need of a full retracking. It is not a smooth ride in any way, shape, or form. You will get beat up on this thing, but oh my gosh, the layout is incredible. You literally start off with immediately a drop out of the station, doing some elements that you'd probably find on a family wind coaster, and then you hit the lift hill, climbing up 136 feet in the air, taking you down a 65-degree angle, throwing you into the parking lot. From there, you'll go into some crazy, fast-paced, relentless bank turns, underground in pitch darkness. You'll merge out into the sky and get flipped into an inversion. This is one of the few wind roller coasters in the world to go upside down. This was actually a later addition to Hades. The ride debuted in 2005, but the corkscrew was added in 2013. Even though it's at the number 4 spot, this is a perfect example of a ride that if it were smooth, it would absolutely be higher on this list. I wish Mount Olympus took better care of this ride than they currently do. Which brings us to our top 3. At Kima Boardwalk near Houston, Texas, we have an extremely compact wind roller coaster shoved into 1 acre of land. This is Boardwalk Bullet, another MVR Gravity Group partnership. The ride opened in 2007 and has one of the most twisted layouts in the world. I've only gotten a couple laps on this thing and all of them were at night, but I was just blown away by this thing. It immediately rose into the top of my favorite wind roller coasters. You just have no idea what's going on. You're getting tossed around like a rag doll, and when I rode it, it was pretty smooth too. I have no idea if that's currently still the case, but this is definitely an underrated experience. I feel like it would get talked about a lot more if it weren't the only ride at this park, but definitely go out there and experience it. And our number 2 attraction is a ride that I think is actually very similar to Boardwalk Bullet. This is Leviathan at SeaWorld in Australia. This is the final ride that's an MVR Gravity Group partnership that we'll be talking about. And this is a pretty recent one too. It just opened at the end of 2022 after years of construction. It was a long time coming. They experienced some delays from COVID, but they finally got it up and running, and it is incredible. Out of all the rides on this list, this one is by far the best themed, easily one of the coolest coaster stations on the planet, and the layout is just unbelievable. There is no dead space, ejector hill after ejector hill. You have no idea what is coming next, and there's also a backwards facing seat. You don't get that every day, and man, is it wild. If you're heading down under to visit SeaWorld, don't miss out on that experience. I got off this thing and I said, you know, I think that's the best roller coaster in Australia. They knocked it out of the park with this one. But still not my favorite gravity group. To that, I have to give it to the Voyage at Holiday World. And I feel like this should not be a surprise to anyone. Pretty much everyone who rides this says this is either the greatest wooden roller coaster ever built, or if not number 1, then probably number 2. Either way, it's up there. You have over 6,000 feet of track, and there is no dead space. The first part starts off as an out and back. You have this huge spaghetti bowl twister section at the far end, and then as you're making your way back, you're just S-bending through the structure that you already passed over, flying over hills and underground. It also happens to be the best night ride on the planet. And Holiday World and the Gravity Group have also done a great job taking care of this thing. It seems like they do retracking on it every single season, including the addition of some of Gravity Group's pre-cut track. I find myself each year saying, you know, this ride just keeps getting better and better. So if you can only ride one ride on this list, it absolutely should be the Voyage at Holiday World. But that's just how I place my 10 favorite Gravity Group designed rides. Obviously, there was not room for every single attraction on here, and certainly I went back and forth on a couple, but regardless, I really enjoy all of these attractions. I think the Gravity Group produces some just incredible roller coasters, many really underrated rides, and I can't wait to see more of them in the future. So let me know down in the comments below, what are your favorite Gravity Group coasters? If you disagree with this list or think I left anything out, be sure to let me know. And of course, stay tuned for more rankings here at Coaster Studios, and I'll see you next time.